The Supreme Court will begin its next term on October 2nd. At the time of the recording, that's next Monday. And they have a major Second Amendment case on the docket. Before I talk about that case, I want to thank the sponsor of the video, and that is Blackout Coffee. Guys and gals, we are celebrating our 5th anniversary, and thank you for your support. So we're going to try to give you a little bit of an opportunity to save some cake. Right now, it's a limited time offer. We're going to give you, for every 2 items you buy, we're going to give you 1 free. So how you have to make it work for the website is you add 3 bags of coffee, 3 K-Cup boxes, mix and match, whatever. Add 3 to the cart and then use code 5, the number 5 years, it's on the screen, and you'll get one of those items for free. You can add 30 items and get 10 free. You get it as long as it's multiples of 3, you'll get one of them free when you use the code 5 years. Time is running out. blackoutcoffee.com/GNG. Thank you for your support. And let's talk about the case that the Supreme Court will hear in this next term. They're going to hear arguments on a major Second Amendment case challenging the constitutionality of a federal ban on the possession of firearms by individuals who are subject to domestic violence restraining orders. Yeah, text, history, and tradition. The dispute now before the justices involves the criminal case of Zachary Rahimi, who is contesting the federal law after Texas placed him under a restraining order after he assaulted his girlfriend and threatened to shoot her. I've done a couple of videos on this case as the process has evolved, and I've said, for those who are chirping in, I hear you, not the best candidate, right? But it's a case that challenges the constitutionality of this law, and it's a good challenge. Now, months after he was placed under this restraining order, police searched Rahimi's home in connection with an unrelated investigation and found a rifle and a pistol. So then a federal grand jury indicted Rahimi for possessing a firearm while being under a domestic violence restraining order, and Rahimi began fighting the charge as a violation to his Second Amendment rights. After his argument was rejected, Rahimi proceeded to plead guilty and was sentenced to 73 months in prison. Shortly thereafter, the Supreme Court handed down the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association Incorporated versus Bruin decision. And as we know, Justice Clarence Thomas's majority opinion changed the test that lower courts had used for decades to decide whether gun regulations complied with the Second Amendment or not. The court ruled 6-3 that firearm regulations must be consistent with our nation's historical tradition on firearm regulation. Then the Fifth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals withdrew its ruling on the Rahimi case and went on to strike down the crime he was charged under as unconstitutional, invalidating the same law in the entire circuit, which is Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi, again, based on the Bruin decision. Now, the Department of Justice, who said, oh, lordy, something bad is about to happen, all of our game is up, our gig is up. Well, they then appealed to the Supreme Court and said, hey, guys, gals, we'd like you to take this case up and hopefully rule in the tyrannical government's favor. In its request to the Supreme Court, the Department of Justice stated this, quote, governments have long disarmed individuals who pose a threat to the safety of others, and Section 922G8 falls comfortably within that tradition. The Fifth Circuit's contrary decision misapplies the court's precedents, conflicting with the decisions of other courts of appeals, and threatens grave harms for victims of domestic violence. Now, when I've done these other 2 videos saying that this law is unconstitutional and should be struck down, I got some pushback on people about, hey, Jared, you're just like I just said, victims of domestic violence, you're okay with them being hurt. And like, I've done this for a long time, and I was in that field where, people do bad things. And I'll say this, a piece of paper doesn't save anybody. So if you're so focused on the fact that people under domestic violence restraining orders if the court rules correctly toward the Constitution that they'll no longer be stripped of their Second Amendment rights just because they have a piece of paper attached to them, I say that you're focusing on the wrong thing. A piece of paper has never saved anybody's life, but guns do. Defend yourself. Take classes. Train yourself up. Become a surgeon with your tool. That's what helps. Now, Rahimi had asked the Supreme Court to stay out of the case. His attorney argued that it was too early for the justices to get involved, and he noted that his case was one of the first federal appeals court rulings to apply the Bruin decision. And in their statement, Rahimi's attorney wrote this, quote, "As the court surely anticipated, lower courts are now hard at work applying the new historical framework and reevaluating firearm restrictions that were previously upheld under the intermediate scrutiny and deference to legislation judgment. Many important cases have been argued and await decisions." So what Rahimi's attorney is saying, it's too early for the Supreme Court because everybody's still figuring out how to apply a Bruin and strip gun control. So we'll see. So one thing I've noticed is now all of the gun control groups are eagerly anticipating the Supreme Court curtailing the Bruin decision here in this Rahimi case and give a more narrowly tailored guidance on how gun control legislation is judged going forward. Now, the gun grabbers are so scared that their entire reason for living is going to be wiped away and shoved down the drain via the Bruin decision. And it's been really fun watching. But there are those on the side of the Constitution, like myself, who hope the High Court will again carve out a large chunk of unconstitutional anti-Second Amendment legislation. Now, what will the Supreme Court do? I will let you know. Subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on to all notifications so you are notified when I go live or put out new content. And I will see you on the next one, guys and gals. It's truly a pleasure bringing you this news, and I hope that you take this news and you share it as well. Like the video, share the video, start talking to folks and let them know what's really going on. Because the Bruin decision, the Heller decision, the McDonald decision were fantastic decisions, and we're seeing a cosmic shift. It's not going as fast as everybody wants it to, because that's not how the courts work. But we're seeing a seismic shift back to the Constitution, and all of the gun controllers at every level of government, at every level of the private sector, at every level of the money sector, they were all scared, and that's a good thing. Let me know what you think down below, and like I said earlier, I'll see you on the next one. Be safe, stay vigilant, carry a gun to keep you, your friends, your family, your community safe. That's what it's for. Doesn't matter what anybody's feelings say, that's what it's for. See you in the next one. Take care.